Chapter 1, Introduction.
Hello, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to revisit the JFK Assassination, one of the lowest points in American history. I'm going to take an analysis from the perspective of the Orville Nix film. Orville Nix was a maintenance employee in the Dallas area who coincidentally was acquainted in some way with the head Secret Service agent Forrest Sorrells. On the day of the assassination, Orville Nix recorded roughly 36.6 seconds of the parade. There is a short segment of the video that actually records the assassination. The video does not include the first shot that hit Kennedy in the back, but does include the image of when he was struck in the head. It was asserted by the Nix family that the Nix film was definitive proof that shots were fired from the Grassy Knoll. Orville Nix took his film to the Eastman Kodak plant to have it developed. The FBI had recently reached out to all of the processing plants in the Dallas area to tell them to be on the lookout for videos or pictures of the incident. Subsequently, Mr. Nix reports that the video was actually lost for an entire week. Once it was finally recovered, he handed it over to the federal government. When he received it back from the federal government, he stated that there were multiple frames that were destroyed. Mr. Nix also indicated that there was a copy of the film in the National Archives. Mr. Nix quickly sold his film to a company called United Press International, or UPI for short, for a mere $5,000, with the agreement that it would be returned in 25 years' time. Subsequent to the 25 years, the film was not returned, and a lawsuit was filed to get the film returned. In 2015, the Nix family sued the National Archives and the U.S. government, asserting that the film was worth $10 million and were asking for compensation. Today, you're going to see the Nix film and the definitive proof that shots were fired from multiple locations.
Chapter 2, Summary of Findings. I want to start the video by giving a quick summary of the finding. I analyzed two videos in depth. You can take a look at these videos and magnify the area underneath the pergola and find the same muzzle blast in the same spot and what appears to be a fedora Cuban style hat in the same location at the same time in both films. You can see the blue muzzle blast in Bronson's film very vividly in one frame. The next frame it slightly disappears and then it seems to be gone by the third frame. In the next film, the muzzle blast only lasts for a single frame, frame 20. And the muzzle blast seems to highlight his hat, because his hat is not seen in any other frames. The next significant finding is that there were a lot of white lines in the Nix film and one blue line in the Bronson film. I magnify some of these and show them one at a time at the bottom of the screen right now. Now this brings up two major questions. First, how is it possible that bullets traveling at 1,200 feet per second can be captured by cameras from the 1960s? And second, more surprising, how is it possible that no one has seen these lines yet? Now, I did read in some comments below one of these videos on the internet that someone had pointed out that these look like bullets. More importantly, how is it that major news networks and researchers have not focused on these lines? The vast majority of the early research focused on the audio tapes and not these videotapes. And the reason for that was that these videos were hidden for decades. The Nix family is still suing the federal government to have the original Nix film released. While we wait for the original, we can analyze this imperfect copy. I did a lot of research on this subject, and what I discovered is that modern cameras can definitely see bullets. It's highly dependent upon the lighting and the distance from the bullet. If you go to YouTube and turn off the restricted mode, you can definitely find videos where you can see bullets. Secondly, it's definitely possible that these are contrails, which are caused by condensation or vapor. The humidity was extremely high that morning. It had rained about 0.6 inches. The temperature quickly moved up to 70 degrees. These weather conditions could have definitely contributed to contrails being visible in the video. You can go on YouTube in unrestricted mode and definitely find videos with contrails from bullets. Other factors to consider is that perhaps the cameras were slow, they had slow exposure and shutter speeds. And other consideration is perhaps some of the light was muzzle light or powder smoke. One of the things that was reported during the assassination was that someone saw smoke underneath some of the trees. It's definitely possible that this was powder smoke. Some individuals on the internet say that that's not possible, but if you go to YouTube, you can definitely find some images where rifles are fired and you can see smoke coming out of the barrel. However, perhaps they can be explained as condensation or contrail vapor trails. The shade of the trees would have allowed the rainwater to sit for longer, and there definitely could have been a canopy effect. This could have contributed to the appearance of smoke. In my research of contrails, I did find that individuals describe the contrails as something that looked like smoke. Chapter 3. Nick's film first viewing. Highlighted in green right here is obvious mechanical damage to the film. I'm looking for anything that looks like it might perhaps be a bullet. Right there is a good example. Another one right there. I highlight in red the ones that look like bullets, and in yellow anything that might not. The red box above is where the man in the hat is, and that'll be the biggest finding in this video. Further discussion will follow. Regarding the white lines in this video that I highlight, consider this. If they were scratches, then you would see them everywhere in the video. They'd be very obvious in the dark areas, for example, where the trees are, the pergola, the black car, the police officer uniforms, the men's suits, the other cars, the bushes. If these white lines were scratches, they would be obvious in those black areas. However, that is not what we see. In this video, what we observe is a lot of white lines that come from the direction of the dark areas toward the limousine. In the bottom right of the screen, you can see the logo for NFV that someone tried to remove. And this is not the original film. Next, you'll see a lamppost that is on Main Street. It's not on Elm Street. And what you see is what appears to be a bullet on this side of the lamppost. And if that is true, that is a totally incorrect trajectory. More discussion on that to follow later. Eventually, you'll see the car's reflection. And when you see the car's reflection, it will get extremely bright in the middle when the sun is directly reflecting it toward us. Here it is right here. You see it's right in the middle, exactly right now. To reiterate, I highlight a lot of the white lines that do not appear to be bullets in either yellow boxes or green boxes. These two white lines are legs for the sign. As I stated before, vertical lines will be ignored because they are damaged from the mechanisms of the camera or the processing. And here's the final potential shot. Chapter 4. Nick's film second viewing. At this point, Kennedy's already been struck once. The first shot that you'll see in this video misses about 10 feet too high. The next shot comes from the fence area. Wayne and Edna Hartman reported seeing a bullet enter the ground near Jean Hill. Pay special attention to the woman walking when her feet come together, exactly when the fatal shot comes from the pergola area. I've obscured his head so that it won't be taken down from the internet. Another shot from the fence area. This is another shot that the Hartmans might have saw. This yellow box highlights Abraham Zapruder and his secretary who are taking the famous Zapruder video. Highlights a lot of movement in the trees, and other shots taken from the pergola. Here's another shot from the pergola, and you can see the dirt being kicked up. More movement in the fence area by the trees. The movement is actually very minor, but you can see it when you zoom in. A man running toward the gunshots, which seems very odd. I believe at least one of these men was never identified. More movement in the tree area. Another shot. There might be some movement in this yellow box. The next white line is either damage to the film or possibly a shot coming beyond Commerce Street. The only possible trajectory indicates it is probably an assassin's bullet intended for Lee Harvey Oswald. People who stood in windows underneath Lee Harvey Oswald reported that some concrete or brick had fallen on them. Here I highlight the exact moment that the sun reflects off of the car. Bear in mind that all of the angles in this video are relative to Mr. Nix. Mr. Nix was also holding the camera at an angle or tilt of 7.5 degrees at the very beginning of the film. Also highlighted here is one potential last shot. Chapter 5. Cuban Fedora. Let's magnify the man in the pergola. Now let's take a little closer look. The muzzle blast, the hat, a very common hat. It actually does appear to be very common. I looked up some images back from those days, and there were multiple people wearing it. Here I magnify that area of the pergola where you can see the man with the hat and the muzzle flash. And I also show the pergola as it is today. I have two theories for what we're seeing here. First, we could be seeing an edited version where his body and his legs were edited out. And the second theory is that he's actually behind the pergola and he stuck the weapon through the slat after he put his hat in the slat above it. Chapter 6, Charles L. Bronson Film. Now a short discussion on the Charles L. Bronson video. Pay special attention to the woman in the yellow box. I utilize her as a point of reference for a lot of the discussion points. Basically because you can see when her feet come together, that's when the fatal shot occurs. Next, I'll show you 5 frames where the fatal shot occurs. When her feet come together, you can see in this magnified location that there's a blue flash. That's when the muzzle flash occurs. Now I'll do another analysis of the Bronson film in a little more detail. Here's a still picture from the Bronson film. I tried to highlight some of the directions where the shots come from. The box in yellow above the building is actually a leaf. If you look at the video very carefully, you can see that the leaf moves with the branch. Another shot that comes from this general area. This box highlights the individual who makes the lethal headshot. I'll zoom in on this and you'll see the blue muzzle blast. This yellow box highlights Charles and Beatrice Hester. There's also a shot from this area. Here it is with the blue muzzle blast. Next you'll see the full Bronson video, which only lasts perhaps 2 seconds. This is an image that was blown up from a Nix film. I'm going to blow up the same area of the Bronson film next. This is the area being magnified here. Let's look at it again at 1000% magnification. What you can see here is 1 or 2 men wearing a Cuban fedora hat. This hat appears to be very popular back then. I looked at a lot of pictures and a lot of men were wearing this. Next you'll see the blue muzzle blast. There are other areas in this film that have this blue tint to it. It's not huge. It's mainly the areas that appear to have gunshots. It could be due to the processing, the film, or perhaps there was something special in the gunpowder like cobalt. Chapter 7, Nix Panorama. Now I'm going to cover 9 of the shots. This first shot seems to come from either under the bridge or a lower level of one of the buildings. This one comes from the fence. This one is a lethal shot coming from the pergola. This shot is coming from the fence again, from a different location. This one comes from a different location in the pergola. This one comes from behind that bush, perhaps. This one comes from that dark area. The next one is the most interesting because I believe this one is where they were trying to actually assassinate Lee Harvey Oswald from across Commerce Street. This one comes from the Texas School Book Depository. Chapter 8, Dealey Plaza. The next image that I'll review is a screenshot from a Sketchfab 3D model created by Danish graphic designer Leif Sorensen, created for Danish newspaper Fine Stiftstidende. I put in the image approximately where Orville Nix was standing when he took the film. The purpose of this graphic is to illustrate where the shots came from or went. There were wide shots that were longer than the images that were already presented. Therefore, there will only be 4 shots viewed in this image. The first shot was taken prior to the beginning of the Nix film. It is theorized that it was at 16 degrees and shot from the Texas School Book Depository. This bullet presumably struck JFK in the back and is widely referred to as the magic bullet. The next shot was at 2.5 degrees and appears to have originated from the Dell Tax building or under the bridge. The next 6 shots came from either the pergola or the fence area and will not be discussed in this graphic. The next shot is probably the most interesting bullet in the entire video. I also show here where the lamppost appears in the next video. And this trajectory is actually to the east of this lamp. So it appears that it's coming from Commerce Street, and then it strikes the Texas School Book Depository. The shot looks like it missed by a good 2 stories. The reason why I say that it probably struck the building is that individuals reported having brick or concrete fall on them from above. So basically people under the 6th floor. Therefore, I encourage anyone in the Dallas area to take a good look at the building to see if there are any locations where the brick or the concrete are destroyed from a potential bullet hole. The lampposts I represent by the yellow line and try to show the shot on the east side of the lamp. There are a lot of theorists out there who say that Lee Harvey Oswald was actually not the shooter in the Texas School Depository building, and there's other names floating around for potential assassins. However, it's pretty obvious that Lee Harvey Oswald was the patsy and he was intended to never live. He is the obvious fall guy. He was a Marxist, he was considered a communist, he wanted to defect to the Soviet Union. He was the obvious fall guy. Him being captured by the Dallas police was a huge hiccup in the operation. He had no escape plan. His wife and child was still in Dallas. Therefore, he was never expected to live and to make it out of the Texas School Book Depository building. He was going to be killed there. Therefore, my theory is that this shot was intended to take him out. The next shot, the 9th shot, or the last shot in the next video, was at 13 degrees and appears to have originated from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository from the westmost window. Chapter 9, Allegory. A lot of forethought went into making this video. I laid in bed several nights thinking about what to say, what the purpose of this video would be. From the beginning, it was obvious to me that this was going to be about God. Take a second to think about that. How can this be about God? Did that seem to come out of left field? Did that shock you? Did you miss to hear something that I said previously? How could this video be about God? As we can read in the Bible, in the book of Romans, the 8th chapter, 28th verse, and we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to His purpose. Even the assassination of an American president? Yes, all things. The next section of the Bible that was included in the forethought for the creation of this video was within the book of Numbers, the 21st chapter, verses 6 through 9, which reads, Then the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, so that many people of Israel died. And the people came to Moses and said, We have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against you. Pray to the Lord that He take away the serpents from us. So Moses prayed for the people, and the Lord said to Moses, Make a fiery serpent and set it up on a pole, and everyone who is bitten, when he sees it, shall live. So Moses made a bronze serpent and set it on a pole, and if a serpent bit anyone, he would look at the bronze serpent and live. What does this mean? The serpents or snakes are the instruments of punishment for our sins. Alright, I get it. This is too complex. I understand. Let's look at it from a different perspective. What is life without punishment? This is known by many different words, including heaven, utopia, nirvana, paradise, etc. I'll just call it paradise for the rest of the video. So what is paradise? Paradise is where people are not assassinated. Paradise is where snakes don't bite and kill people. Paradise is where we live for eternity, without pain, without weeping. How many assassins were there? How many assassins attempted to kill JFK? Do you think that they will be in paradise? I'm framing the question in a manner that it seems that the answer is obvious. However, the answer is not obvious. We have all sinned. Lifting up the serpent on the pole represents sinning, experiencing punishment, and learning so that we, too, can go to paradise. Did you know James Earl Files, Mr. Files, for the last 60 years, has believed that he is the one who assassinated JFK. He stated that he didn't like JFK. However, he also stated that he felt remorse. I believe he stated he felt remorse for the American people, for Jacqueline Kennedy, for their children. I'm curious if it would give him any sort of relief knowing that he's not the one who killed JFK. This knowledge may remove a huge weight on his shoulders. Now, why am I including this in this video? Did you know James Earl Files was visited by Jesus Christ in prison on 2 separate occasions? Did you know James Earl Files is deeply loved by Jesus Christ? Did you know that you, as well, are loved greatly by Jesus Christ as well? Because, as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whoever believes in him may have eternal life. John 3:14-15. Please check back for future videos that will explain this and much more. Chapter 10. Conclusion. Revelation of Jesus Christ.
Now we come to the conclusion of the video. I'm very glad that you made your way through it, especially the allegory section, which was, I'm sure, a little weird. I'd like to conclude the video by giving my deep condolences to the Kennedy family and the family of Officer Tippit. It's extremely amazing that it took 60 years to finally get pictures of the individual who assassinated our 35th president. That's amazing considering that the average lifespan of a human is roughly 70 to 80 years. How is it possible that this man could be hidden for nearly the entire lifespan of the average person? This man has been lost in the darkness, only to be revealed by the light from his muzzle flash. I'd like to encourage each and every one of you as well to search for the light. Please don't waste your time in the darkness. Don't waste your time judging others. Please leave all judgment to the light. And now a special message to those who see this video that I've created to be either a speed bump or roadblock to your plans. Think about it from this perspective. Were your plans in alignment with the plans of the Lord? I don't want to judge you. I really don't. But what I want to communicate is that this will create actually opportunities for you. And now a message for those who are confused by this video. I encourage you to watch this video multiple times, and I hopefully plan to create more videos, and I've planned them all out. I've been doing this for quite some time now. Videos for proof of the existence of God. I'm going to do my best to foster a glorious reunion between you, our Father, and myself in heaven. If you are confused, please watch it again. Did you see all of the Easter eggs in this video? All of the hidden messages? I've referenced numerous Bible verses in this video. I encourage you to take note and to open your Bible and to read those verses on your own. I also encourage you to read the entire Bible, which will fill your lamps with oil for eternity, for you to have your path lit brightly. Do it for yourself, but also do it for your children and your family and your friends, because I want to be your friend in heaven. One final word of encouragement. I pray that you find peace in the light.